Imagine your minions dealing all the damage without a Ring of Mendeln. Yes, that is absolutely possible in Season 1 right now with the new Malignant Hearts. The dream of you being the support for your minions and not the minions supporting you and your damage is finally coming one step closer. Now, obviously, it would be boring to completely just stand AFK, so there's a few things you can do to help your minions do even more damage. That's step number 1, Bone Prison. Bone Prison spawns a pool of blight below it, which increases the damage of your minions by 15% multiplicative. And with the Decrepify, you can reduce the cooldown of your Corpse Tendrils. The Corpse Tendrils pull your enemies together, and they make Blood Orbs. These Blood Orbs, with the right skills, heal your minions and could also reduce your cooldown, so you can use more Corpse Tendrils, more Bone Prisons, and last but not least, the Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead resummons everyone and supercharges your minions because with the right aspects, it's ultra attack speed. And what's the most damage if not getting just faster attacks, especially 100% increased attack speed? Now, that's not all you can do. You can also Blood Mist in, have your Sacrilegious Heart trigger the Corpse Explosions, and the Corpse Explosions will put pools of shadows below everyone, and these pools of shadow actually increase the damage of your minions even more due to the darkness passives stacking up the damage of your minions. So you're truly now sitting there and you're supporting your dudes to do the main damage. I did already clear tier 31 dungeons just having my minions do the do, and that's also going to be running in the background so you can enjoy that while we're giving you the skill breakdown, stats, aspects, Paragon board, everything. Now, a heads up, this is obviously not the most damaging build, but there's this fantasy of your minions dealing the damage, not the Ring of Mendeln, the unique you need to find, not you casting some skills with Sever and having your minions just as the backup. No, your minions actually dealing the damage. And that works. It can clear tier 31s and you can have it super fun with it. I'll level this further up and try also tier 40s, 50s, 60s and see, does it work without Mendeln? Yes, with Mendeln you could make it more efficient build, but that's not the point here because we want to have fun with our minion dudes. Skill breakdown, and there's also 1 to 50 buried down in the description below. We'll begin with Decompose into Enhanced Decompose. We're not going to go further, actually. Then there is Blight, followed up with Enhanced Blight for the slow and Supernatural Blight for the 15% damage increase on you and your minions. We do also want Hued Flesh for as many corpses as possible. Then you're obviously boosting your Skeletal Mages. We have Blood Mist to make bonus corpses as well, so we can have more Corpse Tendrils. Followed up by Bone Prison into Bone Prison makes Essence into Bone Prison makes permanently vulnerable. Bonus damage for Fueled by Death for consuming corpses because we're going to be using Army of the Dead and every little bit of bonus damage doesn't hurt with Army of the Dead. That gets followed up by Decrepify, and we're not actually using the Decrepify Heart here because we want to cast this on distance since we need to stand next to our mages. That gets followed up with the Abhorrent Decrepify for the cooldown reduction, and we're actually still boosting the damage with the Amplified Damage because, again, that works also for the Army of the Dead in the lower part. That with the Skeletal Mage Mastery. Then we have something very interesting. It's called Gruesome Mending that increases the healing on you, but that doesn't matter. We do Transfusion. Blood Orbs also heal your minions for 60% of the amount, as we're playing Corpse Tendrils together with Blighted Corpse Tendril having a 35% chance to drop a Blood Orb. Since you have the Sacrilegious Heart to continuously cast Corpse Tendrils together with you, and then you have the Blighted Corpse Explosion to actually make beautiful bonus Corpse Tendrils. Well, why wouldn't we just make a huge amount of Blood Orbs that can then heal all our minions consistently over the Skeletal Priest? We do Necrotic Carapace to get a little bit fortified, and then we're boosting our shadow damage, but not my shadow damage. When you damage enemies with darkness skills, they take 6% increased shadow damage from you and your minions. So that is an 18% multiplicative damage increase for your minions, which gets followed up by Terror. Skills deal 9% bonus damage to enemies who are slowed and 9% bonus damage to enemies who are stunned. These bonuses stack and apply to shadow damage dealt by your minions. So I can do 18% bonus damage and 18% of bonus damage with my minions multiplicative, 36% bonus straight away. Then we get Army of the Dead with the Volatile Skeletons and also resummoning everything. Plus with the Inspiring Leader for the bonus attack speed, with the Hellbent Commander for the 30% damage increase, and also with the Death Defense so they don't die that fast. And last but not least, we take Shadow Blight over Callan's Edict. Again, Callan's Edict is completely useless. It's 15 or 30% attack speed increase, but it's plus, not multiplicative. It's quite useless, especially because we have other stuff for this. Then Shadow Blight actually gives us a 10% multiplicative damage increase on my minions as well. And end of the day, damage from me and my minions stacks Shadow Blight and does do also a little bit of bonus damage. Why wouldn't we? Which brings us to the Book of the Dead with the Skeletal Reapers to make bonus corpses. But most important, we're actually playing these Shadow Mages, where every 4th attack actually does an additional bolt. So double damage. Why are we not playing the Skeletal Mages? Why are we not playing the Bone Mages? They would get 40% multiplicative damage increase again. Yes, but the Bone Mages with their multiplicative damage increase of 40% after they're being alive kind of stink against the 36% damage increase from the Terror and the Gloom passive together with a Shadow Blight. We're feelingly at more with this, and we can't really actually boost our Bone Mages with like bone skills. So yeah, that's what we're kind of rather going to be doing the Shadow Mages instead, especially they can dual attack. Now, what do we do item-wise to boost them? First, the Wrathful Heart. Each minion drains 2 essence per second, but deals 85% increased damage. Each minion, every single one. With no minions, this bonus applies to you, so you're constantly going out of essence, but technically due to making corpses and using corpses to buff your minions on the 30% damage bonus, you're kind of like still having essence, and you have enough essence with the Bone Prison trapping people to cast your Decrepify, as you also have an essence jet regeneration happening. As also your Corpse Tendrils, kind of with the Sacrilegious Heart, do make essence too, because the Corpse Tendrils uses up the corpse. Now to the minion boosting though. Each time one of your summoning minions damages an enemy, they gain 21% attack speed for 3 seconds, up to 63%. So a huge gain of attack speed. Followed up by, while Army of the Dead is active, your minions gain 73% attack speed and take 90% reduced damage. Then also, your skeletons gain increased damage while alive up to 80% multiplicative after 10 seconds. That 80% multiplies with the Hellbent Commander, multiplies with what we actually have here on the Wrathful Heart. And if I actually had this amulet that has 3 ranks to Hellbent Commander passive, I would get another 30% multiplicative damage. The problem is I didn't have another Wrathful Heart, so I'm sorry for not testing that. This amulet also has summoning skill damage, and you know, your Ray Skeletons is a summoning skill, so it should actually increase their damage as well. And we obviously make bonus mages, we make bonus skeletal warriors, and that gets followed up by Hardened Bones. Your minions take 20% less damage if you have 7 or more minions. With the aspect of Disobedience, which got nerfed, but it still stacks armor up, and my armor goes to a percent over to my minions, makes them more tanky, so they die less. Then very important, we need our Bone Prison to spawn a Pool of Blight, and it says Blight. Why do we need the Pool of Blight? Because the Pool of Blight actually does apply all the shadow shenanigans, but the Pool of Blight also triggers our Supernatural Blight for the 15% damage increase. Now as my last aspect, I'm playing Blood Mist leaves a trail that lasts 4 seconds and deals shadow damage per second. Why do we actually do that? Well, it's quite simple, because with the Shadow Trail, shadow damage, together with the Bone Prison, we do apply Terror and we do apply Gloom, so that our minions actually continuously. Now, I do believe there might be a problem with the Blood Mist and the Trail of Shadows, because the Terror, Darkness skills deal 9% bonus damage to enemies slowed and stunned, does work, because these bonuses stack and apply to shadow damage dealt by your minions. So Terror does work, that's an 18%. But if I'm looking at the Gloom, it says when you damage enemies with Darkness skills, they take increased shadow damage and that stacks. If I'm now thinking about it, it doesn't transform Blood Mist into a Darkness skill. And also the Bone Prison spawning a Pool of Blight is not necessarily counting as a Darkness skill. So we might have to figure out a way to actually get Blighted Corpse Explosion in, because it says Corpse Explosion becomes a Darkness skill, where it actually turns into a Darkness skill. And that could be easily achieved by swapping out the Amplified damage, which we don't 100% need, getting the Corpse Explosion in, swapping out the Decrepify for the Corpse Explosion, and then we would put back on a K Shard of the Decrepit Aura for 1 enemy, which now gives us the chance to make corpses, but then we also explode and we get these pools of darkness that again, like stack up our gloom and have our minions deal even more damage. I mean, as you see, I'm like actually not doing anything. I'm just walking around, everything auto casts. I have my minions just do the damage. So my minions are essentially the ones really dealing the damage. I'm just, you know, a byproduct of hanging out. More or less, and then you can supercharge them to have like the super attack speed going on. It's quite beautiful, but now with the gloom against the bosses, we would even deal more damage. I think this is a worthy change. I mean, then we can blood trail, shadow trail in regardless, so we have a double stacker happening, and then we just get them down. Yeah, this is even better. That's actually quite nice. I like that. Well, we just made this build faster than ever before. What are you looking for stat-wise? Maximum life, minion life, intelligence, all stats. Why the all stats? Well, that's kind of for the Paragon board because you need at least 350 dex, 360 willpower, 350 willpower, and 480 intelligence, 490 intelligence. So you quite some stats needed for that. Also, shadow damage doesn't hurt, ultimate skill damage, and as we said, summoning skill damage plus Hellbent Commander passive on your amulet. I do also have a percentage of total armor plus and damage reduction from enemies that are affected by shadow damage over time. That is actually the best damage reduction that a Necromancer can have. And well, again, the total armor, for example, this helmet here, maximum life, total armor, intelligence, all stats. It's actually perfect. I'm gonna have a higher roll maximum life, but it gets my armor up and my armor gets shared with my minions. So my minions actually survive more and my disobedience also brings us higher up, ultimate survival. As a weapon, I use a two-handed weapon because the flat weapon stat also goes over to our minions. And I also don't need the bonus aspect slot. And we could have a huge chunk of ultimate skill damage on this one. Obviously, it's not perfect now. This is 150 in, which is nice. But if I now would have a huge chunk of ultimate skill damage, that would be perfect. For the Paragon board, we haven't completely progressed through. I'm currently going for max life to stay alive. Very important, there's the control glyph for the 20% increased bonus damage to stunned or frozen, and that's you and your minions. Also, we went for the Scent of Death here, so I get damage reduction also shared with your minions, or I get bonus damage, but it's mostly that the damage reduction is just flat out there. And then, obviously, the most important board that we want to clap down is the Debt Razor, for the damage reduction, and we want the twice. We want higher damage reduction and bonus damage whenever you and your minions deal damage to an enemy, that an enemy takes 1% increased damage from you and your minions up to 12%. And then also the bonus minion damage here, plus more minion damage and attack speed, plus Skeletal Mage damage, because that's our damage dealers. Obviously, we would also go for Skeletal Warrior damage and armor. Then the multiplicative of the Cult Leader. Yes, it would be great if we had the Golem, but we really don't have space for the Golem. And last but not least, Armor Clad, also for the bonus armor and maximum minion life. And the maximum minion life here works multiplicative, interestingly. The rest of the Paragon board will be added in the link in the description below. Glyphs we're going to be looking for is Amplify, because that's another 10 for you and your minions. Then we could take the Mage Glyph for every 5 in purchase within range. Skeleton Mages deal 2.6 increased damage. And that's obviously the base Glyph 2.6, so it can go vastly higher for minion damage. And then you could also take you and your minions deal 10% increased damage to enemies affected by shadow damage over time effects, which will work with the corpse explosion and increases also my shadow damage over time, kinda. Alternatively, there's also Bissa with you and your minions deal 10% increased non-physical damage. And that's your corpse explosion, which deals shadow damage, your shadow blind, your pool of blind, your corpse tendrils are physical, but your mages are shadow mages. So that's not bad because it's a flat 10% damage increase on almost everything you do and your minions do. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're loving this as much as I do. Yes, mendeln could be better, but first you have to find mendeln. And for the people that like the true summoner playstyle, this is a real option to play and to enjoy. Now, if you're more looking for the super high crits, now if you're looking maybe more for Blood Surge Summoner or for the Infinity Mist new and updated, check it out. Plus soon, the new Sever Summoner.